1. Hook, ever wonder how to design AWS infrastructure without falling into the trap of overengineering? Stick around, and I'll show you a practical framework to keep it simple, efficient, and cost-effective. 2. The real problem: many developers and startup engineers get overwhelmed when designing AWS infrastructure. The challenge lies in balancing scalability, reliability, and cost. 3. The simple explanation: at its core, AWS infrastructure design should focus on three key principles: simplicity, cost efficiency, and scalability. Keep it simple, use only the services you need. Avoid unnecessary complexity. Be cost efficient, understand pricing models and monitor usage to avoid surprises. Plan for scalability, design with growth in mind but don't over-engineer for future needs that may never materialize. 4. Real-world example: let's look at a startup called FitTrack, which developed a fitness tracking app. Initially, they launched with a monolithic architecture on AWS using EC2 instances. They started with a single instance running their backend and frontend, which worked fine with 100 users. However, as they gained traction and grew to 5,000 users, the app struggled. To cope, they over-engineered their solution. They used multiple EC2 instances, an RDS database cluster, and auto-scaling groups without fully understanding their needs. Monthly AWS costs skyrocketed to $3,000, and the team spent weeks managing this complex setup. Ultimately, they simplified their infrastructure. By switching to AWS Lambda and DynamoDB, they lowered their monthly costs to under $500 and improved performance. The app could now handle up to 10,000 users seamlessly. This shift taught them the value of simplicity and scalability without over-engineering. 5. What to do instead: here's a step-by-step framework to design your AWS infrastructure effectively. Step 1. Define your requirements. Expect to start with 100 users. Plan for 1,000 in the next 6 months. Focus on minimum viable product features first. Step 2. Choose the right services. Compute: consider AWS Lambda for serverless needs or EC2 for more control. Storage: use S3 for file storage and DynamoDB for NoSQL databases. If you need relational databases, start with a single RDS instance. Step 3. Design for scalability. Implement auto-scaling only if you anticipate sudden spikes. For example, if your app surges from 100 to 1,000 users in a day due to marketing, then auto-scaling makes sense. Otherwise, monitor and upgrade manually. Step 4. Monitor and optimize. Use AWS CloudWatch to track usage. Set alarms if costs exceed your budget threshold. Regularly review your architecture every quarter to adjust based on actual usage. Step 5. Document everything. Keep a simple architecture diagram. Tools like Lucidchart or Draw.io can help visualize without excessive detail. Document decisions and changes made for future reference. 6. Common mistakes. Here are 5 common mistakes to avoid when designing AWS infrastructure, along with how to fix them. Mistake 1. Overcomplicating services. Fix: start with the simplest services. If you don't need it, don't use it. Stick to core services like EC2 or Lambda. Mistake 2. Ignoring cost management. Fix: set up budgets and alerts in AWS. Use the AWS pricing calculator to estimate costs before deploying. Mistake 3. Underestimating traffic scenarios. Fix: plan for peak usage. If your app might hit 1,000 concurrent users, design for that from the start. Mistake 4. Skipping documentation. Fix: document every decision. It saves time and confusion later, especially for new team members. Mistake 5. Neglecting security. Fix: implement IAM roles with the principle of least privilege. Regularly audit permissions and access logs. 7. Quick checklist before you deploy. Use this checklist. Defined user requirements, chosen the right AWS services, designed for scalability, set up cost management alerts, documented architecture decisions. 8. Summary plus CTA to design effective AWS infrastructure without over-engineering. Focus on simplicity, cost, and scalability. Define your requirements, choose appropriate services, and regularly monitor your setup. Avoid common pitfalls, and you'll build a robust system without unnecessary complexity. If you found this guide helpful, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more practical AWS tips. Bonus practical tip: if you're unsure what to pick, start with the simplest option that ships today. Then measure for 7 days, latency, errors, deploy time, and cost. Only upgrade when metrics force the decision, not fear.